Start on this side of the Atlantic, an extraordinary story, and you, the Free Speech Union, my own union, I'm a member of the union myself, are involved in, with an American woman who's a cancer patient. She is a Trump supporter who was confronted by British police over some posts that someone had complained about. Tell us what's happened.
This really is one of the more extraordinary things that we've seen at the Free Speech Union. This concerns one of our members, Deborah Anderson. She's lived in England for many, many years. She had a knock on the door from a police officer who came into her house and explained that he needed to speak to her because there had been a complaint that she had upset somebody with something that she had written on Facebook.
Gosh, I mean, I could get a knock on the door every day.
Well, quite. Couldn't we all? She had the presence of mind to start recording this conversation. Millions of people have now seen this video since we posted it at 10 p.m. last night. Right. She asked the obvious question, am I under arrest? Have I broken the law? To which the answers are no.
Well, let's play a little clip of this exchange, which she did record with the visiting from the police.
We believe you've written on Facebook has upset someone.
You're here because somebody got upset. Is it against the law? Am I being arrested?
You're not being arrested.
Then what are you doing here?
My plan was, if you were admitting that it was you who wrote the comment, you could just make an apology to the person.
I'm not apologising to anybody, I can tell you that.
I mean, good for her, Ben Jones. I love her already. But it's extraordinary. The police saying, no, you're not arrested. But you need to admit you've done something wrong. You need to apologise. This is something that would happen if you've got two kids and they've had a fight and they're sort of 7 and 8 years old, and mum and dad say you have to apologise, otherwise, you know, you're going to go to your bedroom without any dinner. I mean, what business is it of the police to turn up at someone's house to ask them to apologise for something?
Yes, absolutely. And the policeman in question, he looks rightly, absolutely mortified, I think, to be there. But as Deborah says in the video, he shouldn't have been there. He should not have been knocking on her door. He should not be in her house. He should not have been instructed to have gone to her house.
So what was the awful thing that she had said online that someone had complained about and for which she apparently was being ordered by the police to apologise for?
Well, this is the mystery. The police have not been able to tell her exactly what she said. Now, in fairness to the police, we don't want them keeping millions of records of what people have said on social media that's upset somebody. They appear to have deleted it this time, so at least they've got that bit right. But the upshot is they have not been able to tell her what she said. But they have been able to tell her, as in that clip, that it was not criminal, that she was not being arrested. So again, the question, why are they there? Why are they wasting their time doing this?
When there are plenty of crimes to investigate.
And that's the point that Deborah makes. I mean, she uses all of my own lines. I can only repeat what she said in that video, Julia. She says there are murders, there are burglaries, there are rapes going on, there is crime in this local area. Why aren't you dealing with this? And he says, well, that's not my job today. Today I'm here about this social media post.
It's genuinely extraordinary. But with the thing, we have the same thing with lots of people who've ended up being questioned by the police, whether it's a non-crime hate incident or a supposed hate speech, something criminal. Often people are not told who's made a complaint, what the complaint is, or indeed what they are supposedly have said. They have to often, I remember Alison Pearson, she had to work out which tweet it was that the police turned up on her doorstep for. And it is, on Remembrance Sunday, it is absolutely extraordinary this keeps happening. But we are constantly being told, I mean, the debate at the moment is from senior police officers saying, look, we need to have everything clarified, we need the law clarified because we don't, you know, we're being hung out to dry and we need to give police officers more discretion. Is the answer to give police officers more discretion? Because my fear is actually, given how woke senior police officers now not just are but are required to be, you can't get the job unless you sign up to all the DEI madness on lots of these things, that actually we don't want the police to have more discretion because that will mean more visits like that to more people like us.
Well, I fear that's right, because in this case, it's clear it's not criminal. No law has been broken here. And so at every step of this process, as soon as the complaint came in, they should have said, no, this is not a police matter. As soon as this police officer is instructed to go...
police time.
Right. He should have said, no, I'm not going. There is no basis for me to be there. She has not broken the law. He should not have followed that instruction. He shouldn't have been given that instruction. The complaint should never have been taken seriously in the first place.
But here's the thing. So she's not going to end up with being arrested or the Free Speech Union got involved. Again, I do not understand why anyone in this country is not a member of the Free Speech Union because of this. These sort of things could happen to anybody for often very innocuous things. There'll be a record of this somewhere. Often people people get 6 on their record, and if they apply for a job, this will come up. But also, you know, people are intimidated. The process is the punishment, as everyone says. You know, police turning up on your door. I mean, it's embarrassing if the neighbours see it. You know, you feel under threat. But also, crucially, the police officer who turns up, they're never disciplined. The person who sent him, he's not disciplined. The chief police, you know, has allowed that culture. They're not disciplined. There's never any reprisals for this, no matter how wrong it is.
No, and we can see we've done research at the Free Speech Union in the last couple of years about whether police forces are doing any free speech training for their officers or not, and overwhelmingly they are not. And that's how you get scenarios like this unfolding, because the police are in these jobs and they've got no idea actually that speech rights do have protections in this country.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, again, we had that big battle over the trans issue. I mean, Maya Forstater having to actually, you know, now with sex matters, go all the way, you know, right to the top court in the land to have it established that it's a protected belief. Well, it's not a belief, it's a fact that men and women are different biological sexes and you can't change sex. But I mean, you know, there we are. We know that we've had criticism from the American leadership over what's been going on in Britain. I mean, a number of them people who've been represented by the Free Speech Union. They, of course, in America have the First Amendment. They've got protection for freedom of speech. But it's been a big outcry after Jimmy Kimmel, who is one of the biggest late-night chat show hosts in America at ABC, and he has been taken off air, we're told, indefinitely over what was claimed to be offensive comments about Charlie Kirk, of course, and particularly speaking about the suspect who has been charged with his murder. Now, we're told that Nexstar Media, one of the biggest owners of television stations in the US, basically said they would no longer broadcast his show on local stations. That meant a massive loss of revenue for ABC and Disney, who own them. But we also had threats from, now this is very much a political appointee, Brendan Carr. He's the Federal Communications Commission chair of the FCC. He said that the comments made by Kimmel were truly sick and threatened ABC and Disney, urging them to take action, saying basically we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to take action on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. They have a licence granted by us, and that comes with it an obligation to operate in the public interest. I'm going to play a quick clip of what Jimmy Kimmel had to say. There's various other jokes. He makes some off-colour jokes about Donald Trump. Got no issue with any of those. Everyone's entitled to make jokes about anything, in my view. But here's what he had to say about the suspect, already arrested, already details known about him, who is suspected of murdering Charlie Kirk.
Some new lows over the weekend, with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Now, Ben Jones, do you think this is a case of cancel culture and imposition on freedom of speech? Or is this just, you know, someone going on television telling a blatant lie that he would have known to be untrue to score political points himself and then facing his comeuppance?
Well, the content of what he says seems to be complete nonsense. What I would say about the broader point you raised, though, I saw a video and lots of clips of Charlie Kirk obviously circulating on social media since last week. There's one particular one where somebody comes to the stand, a left-wing person, he's obviously quite nervous and he's trying to make this argument. He's not doing particularly well. And Charlie Kirk stops him and starts to make his argument for him and says, look, this is what I think you are trying to say, and I'm going to try and articulate your point of view, and I'm going to give my response to it. And I found that actually very moving. And it seems to me a great pity that the legacy of Charlie Kirk should be a new round of cancel culture, even for people who've said deeply unwise, and in this case, patently, it appears, false comments like that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he's entitled to make a joke about Donald Trump, and he said, you know, this is like Donald Trump's response to the murder is like a child grieving for the goldfish rather than someone grieving for a friend. And he's entitled to make those jokes and as much as he wants, and I would absolutely fight against it. But Jimmy Kimmel is someone who has celebrated every cancellation of anyone he disagrees with quite happily, including, you know, Donald Trump being taken off Twitter even when he was president and the like. If someone does that, now I'm probably like you in terms of I will go and defend people every single day of the week who I vehemently disagree with for their right to say things, as long as they're not breaking the law, inciting violence and like. I will defend their right and not to face cancel culture. But in this case, is it not anything to do with cancel culture? Has he quite simply breached the terms of his contract? If you go on telly and you say something that is blatantly, provably untrue, that you must at that time have known known to be untrue because we'd had press conference, we had information about this suspect. He wasn't MAGA. He was motivated quite clearly, as much as we know motivation, by the opposite, being opposed to MAGA. That if you do that, you're probably in breach of your own contract, and you go.
I think most of that is probably right. I would rather not live in a culture in which people cannot make any mistake. I say mistake,
True.
but perhaps that's too perhaps
I mean,
that's
that
too
would have gone
generous.
through 20 editings, 40 people would have been involved in that. It wasn't a mistake.
The other thing I'd say in terms of some of the broader reaction and the allegation of cancel culture now coming from the right in America is that we've seen in this country with the Online Safety Act, for example, where a Conservative government drastically increases the power of the state to censor and then immediately bequeaths it to a left-wing government by losing in an election.
Yeah.
So it seems deeply unwise to increase the state's power to censor people when there's every chance you are going to lose the next election.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed for that, Ben Jones from the Free Speech Union.